Hey, good morning to everyone in my web-based classes this semester. It's probably U.S. History 1, American Government Political Science, or History of the Constitution. This is my third attempt because I'm never happy when I put up a video and I tend to want to edit and change it, and I don't have those skills. This time I'm just going to run through it, give you a quick introduction of who I am and what I expect from the class. The classes are asynchronous. What does that mean? That means you don't have to be on any specific time. We don't have like a meeting time where we're going to be on and have dialogue and a live lecture. There are going to be lectures put up that I do summaries of what I think are the important parts of the material that we're currently covering. I sometimes augment that with other videos that I found on YouTube or from a publisher or educational institution that give me access so I don't do copyright infringement. So I post those things up there as well for your benefit. I often post a couple of articles too that I think are really, really well written that I hope you read because you'll understand the material that we're trying to cover that much more clearly. And then you'll have a period of time, whether it's a week or days, to do an assignment. I try to get you some feedback fairly quickly. Don't expect feedback the very next day. If an assignment's due Sunday night at midnight, I'll hopefully get back to you by that Wednesday with some feedback about that assignment before you tackle the next one. Most assignments are weekly. Sometimes they're bi-weekly. Sometimes they're within a few days. But you're always given a window of opportunity from the time the assignment's posted to the time you can get it completed. I usually put up a couple of assignments in advance, meaning weeks out. So some students that want to go a little bit faster, which I don't like you get too far ahead, urge you not to go too crazy. I don't want you to finish the semester in a week in terms of the expectations, in terms of what you have to, produce and perform. So I usually try to time it out a little bit. I give a little bit of advance that you can get a little bit of ahead, but I don't want you to go crazy with it because I think you lose some of the digestion of the material, for lack of a better way of saying it. And so in case I haven't introduced myself beyond what I expect from an asynchronous course, I'm Jim Corman. I'm the Department Chair of Legal Studies, Political Science, and History at the Mount. I've been there for 19 years. I love being there, and it's a great experience. And I truly mean I really want to help you get through the process. So if there's ever a question, a concern, a doubt, don't ever be afraid to reach out. And I do believe in that old cliche, because it's not a cliche, it's meaningful. The only question that's a dumb question is the one that wasn't asked. So I urge you to ask questions as we go forward, anytime at all. You have my email address. You have my cell phone number. It's also my business number. I'm a practicing attorney. Don't be afraid to send out a text. Don't be afraid to call, especially if you're troubled by something that's going on in the course that you don't understand or you want clarity for. And sometimes emails are difficult to get clarification and correction, and you want to have a dialogue. So don't be afraid to call. Office hours are posted there, but that doesn't mean you can't call at a different time. I may not answer the phone immediately, but I'll get back to you usually within 24 hours. And if I don't, send a second email, make a second call. You're not being a pest. I just absent-minded professor, so to speak. So don't be afraid to reach out and call. Again, I'm Jim Corman. I live in Brimfield, Massachusetts, about quite 50 miles south, a little bit west of Gardner. Some people say, well, it's like an hour drive or an hour drive. But, I love the job. And to me, I think in the way in what I want to cover in class, and it helps clarification. The way home's a little bit tedious, but I have a lot of time off from the school too, in terms of physical presence being there, and I do love it. I have 7 kids. I have 2 dogs. I think they're both behind me. That's Martha is the golden retriever. She's 5 years old. Bailey's a puppy. She's a golden doodle. She was looking at me because she heard her voice. She's 7 months. And again, I have 7 kids. 2 still live at home. One's away in college, and the other 4 are independent now. 26 to 16 is their ages, I guess. But the thing I really wanted to say in this introductory video, besides getting a sense of who I am, is because I've taken web-based classes. And there's nothing worse than never seeing even a photograph of who your teacher is in terms of what they look like. What's their personality like? What's their expectation? Do you have a sense of rapport with them? And so I was hoping this video might help a little bit. And some of you have heard this spiel before because you've taken a class with me, whether it's in person, in traditional brick and mortar class, or whether you've taken an online class with me. And that is, I'm a product of the community college system myself. And I'm also a failure in my experience as a community college student. I went to community college way back when in the 1980s, and I went there not thinking I was college material, not thinking I really wanted to go to college. I wanted to be a plumber like my father, my grandfather. And In order to do that, I had to be 18 years old, but not because I was smart and a really good high school students, but I got out at 17 out of high school because just the way my birthday fell. I was an average everyday high school student, I guess, in terms of grades and performance. And so Stick was a community college that was close to my home. In fact, it was right next to the high school I went to. We used to call it the high school on the hill because it was literally just above geographically in terms of elevation, the high school I went to. And community colleges often have that bad reputation, which I think is very unfortunate and misplaced, that they don't have the rigor and the output, if you will, of traditional universities and prestigious colleges. I don't think anything could be further from the truth. And let me be evidence of that because I'm an average everyday guy. You know, I'm wearing a suit and I got intellectual glasses on. Trust me, I'm a very regular individual. And if it wasn't for the community college, I would not have done well getting my bachelor's degree at a university, my master's degree at a university, and my Juris Doctorate law degree from ABA accredited law school without the foundation that the community college gave me. It's true. I'm not just saying it because I don't get any more money whether you do well or whether you like me. It doesn't make any difference. It's just the truth. Community college is an excellent value, and I send my kids there, and I urge them. Some of them didn't go there, but I certainly urge them to go there because I think there's a value and an accessibility quality that you don't get anywhere else. Well, what about the failure? Why did I fail at the community college when I first started? I signed up for classes the night before or the day before they started, not thinking I was going to go to college. My father said, hey, just take a year before you get to the apprenticeship and get some education. Education is always beneficial. He's a big believer in it. And so I signed up, and because I was a little bit irresponsible, I signed up for the classes that I thought were cool, but also that I could fit all on 2 days a week. All 5 classes were on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Some of you may think that's a great idea. Maybe it is, but I'll tell you what, by halfway through the day, I was exhausted from getting all this information thrown at me. And secondly, the time I did have away from the college classroom experience, I procrastinated and tend to put off the homework until the next meeting. So I'd have off, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And guess when I did the homework? Usually Monday night, I'd have this huge amount of homework. And I don't care how great and disciplined a person you are in terms of sitting down and getting that homework done, it was often an overwhelming challenge. So I became very, very miserable. And I felt very lonely at the college. I felt disassociated with it. And I felt kind of almost unwelcomed in some weird way. It wasn't for me. And I distinctly remember taking an exam in anthropology, and I kind of bombed it, and I got like a C on it. To me, that was bombing because I worked really hard for it. And the professor said at the end of class, if you have questions about what your exam score was and why you got it, you can come up to me at the end of class if you're more comfortable. And that's what I did with about 10 other students. I said, gee, I got this section wrong here in the test. I don't remember going over class. I hadn't missed a class yet, not one class. And I did the reading, and I said, I didn't remember any of that material. She goes, oh, that was a section. A lot of people did poorly on that because it was from the recommended supplemental readings. And I never forgot my response. I said, well, if they were recommended, why would it be on the test? They should have been required. I would have gotten them. I would have read it. And she tried to be funny, but I took it very offensively when she said, well, the next time a professor makes a recommendation, perhaps you should heed it. You'll do much better in college. And she kind of laughed it off when she said it, and many other students laughed. And I was humiliated. I felt terrible. I didn't say anything. I just kind of had my, hang my head down low and walked out of class, mortified. And then I went to my next class, and the professor there said, don't forget, you got your rough draft for your paper due next week on a topic you choose. I didn't know how long it had to be. I never wrote a research and writing paper up until that point. Never did it in high school. My high school wasn't exactly great, to be honest with you. I was clueless how to do it. I didn't know how to do a structure of a paper. I didn't know MLA or APA. I didn't know anything about citation. I was lost. He was probably a pretty good professor in terms of content delivery, but he wasn't great in terms of realizing that I didn't know what I was doing, and I felt very anxious about it. I left school that Thursday. It was getting close to Thanksgiving. I got the flu, and I missed the entire next week of school, and that gave me a great deal of anxiety, and I wanted out. I felt lost. I felt very much alone, and I felt disillusioned. And that's when in the mail, that was back in the day, we didn't get emails as much. Well, you didn't get them all. You got snail mail. And in my snail mail was a thing reminding me to register for the spring classes, but also to that following Monday was the last day to withdraw without getting a grade. So guess what I did Monday morning? Yeah, as I was feeling, finally got out of the flu, I drove down to school and I withdrew from everything. Initially, I felt great, burden off the back. But guess what? Well, Thanksgiving rolls around. I see some relatives, see some friends and stuff from high school, and they say, hey, how's college going? How's college going? And I told my friends right away, so I dropped out. It wasn't for me. I'm going to be a plumber anyways. All that sociology and anthropology, none of that stuff's going to apply to me. It was a waste of my money and time. My friends were kind of supportive, but yet I could see a sense of like, or even feel a sense that I failed. But it was my father at Thanksgiving when some of my, I don't know, I'd say, hey, how's college going? How's college going? Because I hadn't told my parents yet. And I told they said, yeah, it's going okay. My father sensed it after everyone leaves and says, hey, what's going on with college? And I said, I dropped out, Dad. It's not for me. I want to get in the plumbing union. Maybe I can work with you a little bit, learn a bit more about the trade beforehand. And he was very sympathetic and very kind, but he was also very sad for me. And I could sense it. I could feel it. And I got really, really depressed over it, to be quite honest. And because of that, I think out of shame, almost over anything else, I decided to go back. And I went back just for one course at night in the spring semester. And I took English, and I was just looking at my transcript because I have a copy of it, and I got a B on it. I worked very hard. I had a great teacher, and it changed my perspective somewhat. What do I mean by that? I've always gone through school, and maybe through life, with a great deal of self-doubt, with fear, with anxiety, with apprehension about whether I belong. And sometimes loneliness, because I'm I know it doesn't show in the video maybe, but I'm a very shy and very introverted person, and I tend to keep to myself. So sometimes I feel like an outcast. What I'm giving this message for is not, hey, he overcome all that. That's a great Rocky Balboa story. No, I'm not telling you because I came over. I never really overcame it. I coped with it. But I know many of you probably feel that way. Maybe lonely, disillusioned, disconnected. Why am I taking U.S. History 1? What the hell is that going to do with me? That's way in the past. Why am I taking American political science and government? Doesn't really apply to me. All education is beneficial in the long run. And if you feel isolated, if you feel alone, if you feel lost, you're probably not alone. And I want you to reach out for help. Like I said, I'm empathetic to that experience. And I know some of you probably already felt that from previous semesters. You can do it. And if you do really find that maybe college isn't for me or a job opportunity comes up, finish out the semester. Get the grades. You're probably going to do pretty well. Get the grit up to get the work done as best you can, and ask for help when you need it. Because everyone that I know of at the Mount really do want you to perform well. So learn from that failure of mine. I got lucky enough to go back. Many students that do drop out with a similar to like experience won't return because they don't feel ever that they're worthy of being in the college environment. You are, they are, and I hope that you all have an experience where you feel like you can hang on, ask for help, and get through those tough times. And you're not really alone. You're really not. And nothing makes me happier. So what's your paycheck that makes you happy? Actually, it's not. It's when I hear student successes that they go on and they had a good experience at the Mount, maybe learned something, maybe that they weren't all that interested initially. And that's the greatest victory for me if I can get it. So don't be afraid to stay in touch, and don't be afraid to reach out, and know that if you are capable enough to apply and enroll in the class, you're capable enough to do well in my courses. There's no question about it. Otherwise, don't be afraid to reach out, say hello, and I hope you're all enrolled and up and running. And otherwise, we'll be working together throughout hopefully a very successful semester. See you.